Welcome to the Good Success Podcast. We have an amazing show scheduled for you today, but before we get started, let's have a word from our sponsors. Radius Renovation Group is a full-service construction management solution for investors of single-family and small multifamily investors in 25 states. Whether you own one property or hundreds in different states, the goal is to be your one-stop shop for all your construction needs, to increase property values, and to give you a positive and profitable outcome. Using their 8-step process, Radius will walk the project, complete a line-by-line scope of work and estimate, schedule work with licensed and Radius certified contractors, manage the project and contractors, pay the contractors as work is completed, provide quality control throughout the project, and when the project is complete, do a final inspection. Clients are provided with login access to Radius's cloud-based project management platform to view work schedules and updated photos of each job. There is even the ability to directly message the project manager. Radius only works with real estate investors, so they speak your language and understand your needs, from project timing to investor-friendly pricing. If you're an investor who is done trying to manage contractors and rehabs on your own, it might be time to consider having Radius as your partner. To put their expertise to work for you today, visit the Radius website at www.radiusreno.com or call them right now at 417-730-9777. And now, back to the Good Success Podcast.
For that one person out there who's probably getting called this or whatever, it's okay to be corny. Because honestly, me being corny got me to exactly where I'm at today. Just being that different, take it super corny. When I was in middle school, I used to get to school at 6 a.m. so I could do magic tricks with my teacher because I love magic. And being corny and being you is going to ultimately define your happiness and good success. It's all about just being happy. So be corny.
Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Culler. Got Tom Olson, president of Good Success, sitting in Midway Airport right now, about to head out. We'll probably have you talk about, okay, go ahead. What are you doing at the airport right now, Tom? It's pretty exciting.
We are going to Washington, D.C. With Eddie Wilson and about 4 or 5 other members of our Good Success Mastermind. And I'm actually viewing the Pentagon tomorrow with Aaron's husband who works there, and then the next day we're actually talking with senators and HUD about really some of the concerns that real estate investors have with the SAFE Act and some of the concerns that real estate investors have, and just kind of having a voice in Washington for real estate investors.
Awesome. That's exciting.
It's exciting.
We're excited to hear what you have to come back with. So it's going to be good. You'll be at the Think Realty event over there in Baltimore. Is that correct?
I won't be there. Actually, I have to come back for a test, and then Ken's having his Veterans Path Up this weekend as well, so I won't be able to make that Think Realty event. I'm sad I can't be there, but
sure.
I love those guys. So
sure, well, that sounds good. Well, we got an exciting guest on the show. It's a little bit different because this guy played in the NFL as a tight end. I'll probably have him give his height and weight in a minute because that's what you got to do when you're talking to a tight end, right? So out of St. Louis, Missouri, Hakeem Valles. What is going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Josh? Thanks for having me. I'm doing great today.
That's good to hear. So we're excited to have him on, and the reason why is because he's actually a real estate investor. So he retired from the NFL, and now he's investing in real estate. Go figure, making it happen. So he actually invests in Phoenix, Kansas City, Orlando, Salt Lake City, and Des Moines, and does a bunch of this. We're gonna have him talk about the stuff that he does, but I'm excited to hear a little bit more about his experience in the NFL. So we're actually gonna ask him some questions about that, but then how he got into real estate investing, kind of what gave him the bug for that, and how he got involved in it. So he played tight end in the NFL for the Cardinals, the Lions, and the Giants. So this guy is not messing around. So, all right, we got to ask the question, Hakeem. Height and weight, what do you got, man?
About 6'5", 2. Actually, you know what? I lost since I've retired. I've lost about 30 pounds. So
Wow.
right now I'm like 6'5", 220. But I'm usually like 255.
Sure. So still a big guy. He's still a big guy, especially somebody that's 5'7", right? So cool. So we're excited to have him on, but we're gonna come right back around to Hakeem in just a second. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to the Good Success Podcast. We're on all the podcast platforms. Just search Good Success, you'll find us there. And then, or if you want to make it easier, just go to either your Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, search Good Success, and you can download the official Good Success app. Make it happen. It's a lot easier to listen to the shows on the app, the official Good Success app. So, but if that's not your flavor, if you listen on Apple Podcasts, head over there, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That would be much appreciated. And then the Good Success Mastermind. It's coming in hot. Tom, I'm super excited about this. I can't believe how quick the second quarter Mastermind has come up on us in Miami, Florida, May 14 through 18. It's going to be exciting, and we hope to see you there. But Tom, give us the rundown of what's going on down there.
Yeah, so right now I've got 8 new guests that are joining us for the Good Success Mastermind. And if you are a real estate entrepreneur and you're looking for a group of people that you can trust to give you the advice that you would want somebody to give you, we all struggle with people, processes, profit sometimes. We always struggle with these things in our real estate businesses, and we're trying to figure out how to get better. A lot of times it's just like having somebody in your business that will ask the right questions or find the things in your business that you're not seeing. I'm a Christian. The Bible is kind of like very clear about, it's easier for somebody else to see, the needle in your eye when they've got the beam in their own eye, so it's kind of like reverse psychology that, and it's like, it is actually really easy for somebody else to look in your business and see what you need to improve. So I think having the board of advisors around you that can help you and figure out really what is going to move that needle the most, what is going to help you make the most money, and what's going to have the most significant impact on your business. That's what a mastermind's all about. So if you're interested in the mastermind, if you're interested in being around like-minded individuals that have the core values of community, stewardship, charity, and growth, then check out the Good Success Mastermind, goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Fill out the application. I'll talk to you. I mean, one of the benefits of that, you get to talk to me. Everybody's like, I get people all the time wanting to talk to me. I'm mentoring people. But one of the benefits of just filling out the application is, hey, you get a conversation with me. So fill out the application. We'll have a conversation, see if you're a good fit for the mastermind, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Tom said, I don't need to expound on that anymore, but a great group of people that we got there. The culture is absolutely incredible. If you know if you've seen photos of the mastermind, you know the people that are in there, that's the type of culture that we got. So we definitely covet that and make sure that we want to keep that intact. So that's why we have you fill out the application and then talk to Tom, because that's kind of the vetting process. We want to make sure it's a good fit for you and vice versa. So one more time, goodsuccess.com/mastermind, fill out the application, and hopefully we'll see you in Miami. And then the Community Go Giver event, communitygogiver.com is where you can pick up your tickets today. Not right now because you're about to listen to an awesome podcast, but after the podcast, head over to communitygogiver.com. We got 80 seats that we're selling out at. So it's happening right here in our office in Gary, Indiana, talking about Tom's vision for flipping the entire city of Gary. You guys think it's crazy, but it's going down. It's actually happening. So I know we actually have done a couple podcasts with Tom talking about making that happen and the way you guys are finally opening up the turnkey market for Gary, which is awesome. So Tom, give us the rundown about the Community Go Giver event. What can people expect?
Yeah, just like you just said, I'm going to actually talk about my vision for flipping the city of Gary, what we've done in the last year, and kind of where it came from, where we're doing now, and where we're going in the future for that whole vision. Plus, being able to show people the product that we're producing in Northwest Indiana and in Gary itself. So we're having 2 days of bus tours where you can actually go, touch, feel, smell the neighborhoods, the houses, see the kind of finishes that we're putting in the end. And maybe even meet a couple tenants. We're actually also going to be viewing the Veterans Path Hub home that we're working on as well in Gary, Indiana. So if going to places and bus tours and have an opportunity to be able to buy houses, not just like at a seminar or from afar, but actually coming and seeing the actual product and the people that are producing the products for you and then managing them on the back end, I think this would be a great place for you to come. So communitygogiver.com, and I'm going to give you a secret code on this podcast for listening in this podcast. If you go into the communitygogiver.com website, you'll actually find out a coupon code place that you can put in there. And the coupon code is community. Pretty easy, right? So if you put in the code community to the coupon code, you get 30% off.
Well, there you go. You guys got it. So 30% off. You can't complain anymore. It's a pretty cheap event relatively for what you're going to be getting. So make sure you take advantage of that. I know Tom said multiple times our goal is not to make money. And you just heard the goal of what, exactly the event is centered around. So make sure you take advantage of it. One more time, communitygogiver.com. Go pick up your tickets today. So
it's June 26, 27, 28, just in case anybody's interested in the dates. So June 26, 27, and 8. Get your tickets right now because they will sell out.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Tom. Actually, normally I do give the dates, but I completely forgot because I was so excited to get in this interview today. So let's go ahead and knock this off, man. Let's get into the interview today. We've got Hakeem Valles out of St. Louis, and man, I'm excited to have you on, Hakeem. A little bit of a different scenario because normally we're talking to people that came out of corporate America, had engineering jobs or whatnot, and got into real estate investing. Maybe they even lost their job, and then they just had no choice. Their back was against the wall. I know we're recording this podcast on a Tuesday, and the podcast that's going out today is with John Morey, and he actually got fired from his job, got let go, and so he had no choice. He went into real estate. But with you, it's a little bit different. You were an NFL player, retired, and went into real estate investing. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into your story with a few other questions, but give us a summary about Hakeem Valles. So introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing that.
What's going on, everybody? The wonderful introduction you said, my name's Hakeem. I'm actually from New Jersey. My fiance's family is from St. Louis, and we're actually moving out here next week until our wedding next April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so life's been kind of crazy. I played in the NFL for 3 years. It was an amazing time. Played with, like you said, Cardinals, Lions, Giants. But I've always been a real estate investor. I actually started investing when I was back in college. So I've been actually investing for the last 7 years, going on 8 years. Now I'm a retired NFL player going full-time investing, and I'm a keynote speaker as well.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So I've seen some of the content that you put out on LinkedIn. I got a connection with you on LinkedIn and some of the videos that you've put out, which are pretty exciting. So before we get into that a little deeper, talk a little bit about what type of investing do you do? Do you wholesale? Do you flip? Do you do commercial real estate? So what do you do exactly?
I do buy and hold, value add, multifamily.
Gotcha.
Yeah. As simple as that.
Yeah, love it. No, you got to keep it simple, right? That's all good. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into some questions, learning more about you and your story. I'm excited to kind of just dive deep into this. So like I said, on LinkedIn, I saw a couple of videos that you had posted. You had talked about how you have kind of always had that entrepreneur bug, in a way. And you told a story that maybe you could share that with us here today as well. But kind of talk about your upbringing and how you kind of have always had that spirit for being an entrepreneur and how that kind of translated to you being a real estate investor today.
Like you said, it's kind of a DNA thing. I don't know. I was just born with it. Back when I was a youngin' in 5th grade, I used to have my older brother drive me around neighborhood to neighborhood and go cut grass. Used to put out ads. Craigslist was really hot back then, so I used to put ads on Craigslist. And then, super young. I can't believe some people would even let me cut their grass, considering my age. But that was awesome. And then as I kind of grew older, when I got to middle school, my mom had a Sam's Club Sam's Club membership card, and you could buy 36 pack of Skittles for $13. And then I would go to school and go sell those 36 Skittles for $1 a piece. And my spread would be $23 a box. And I would go to school with 2 backpacks every day. One was filled to the brim it was just the purple wild berry Skittles, no other ones. It was figure out your niche and stick with it. Yeah. If you want the red ones, you couldn't get it from me.
Sure. It's a scarce, it's a supply and demand situation. If the purple ones are the hot ones, then you got to roll with it, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And then as I grew older, when I was in high school, I didn't necessarily have a lot of time to do that type of stuff because I went to boarding school for high school. And we had school 6 days a week, and it was very, very vigorous in terms of academics. And I was also an athlete, so really didn't have much free time. But where I really, really, I'd say, blossomed was from high school to college. That summer, my little brother had cracked his iPhone 4 for the 10th time. And my dad was like, I'm not paying for it to be repaired this time. Figure it out yourself. I was like, you know what, let me check it out. went on Amazon. I think it cost like 20, 25 bucks to buy a cracked screen. And took me about 6 hours, but after 6 hours, when I pressed that lock button, you saw the apple come up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it worked!"
It worked. I mean, it happened.
Yeah, I was freaking out. I was like, and then like, ding, like my entrepreneurial bug just went off, and I was like, you know what? Let me check out my phone. Took it apart, put it back together from like 6 hours to 20 minutes, and then when I showed up to college my freshman year, I was the iPhone repair guy. I mean, I was fixing about 3-4 phones a day. I was charging 60 bucks. So my spread was anywhere from, 25, 30 bucks a phone. And it was awesome. And like, as I was fixing them, I realized that the cracked screens that I was fixing, I would save them all. And there was this company in Alabama that you could recycle your screens to, and they'd pay you $5 for it. So I was like, you know what? Bagged up all my screens and sent them out there and made $5 a cracked screen. I was like, whoa, that was cool. And then ding, bug went off again. Went to all the local iPhone repair shops and individual iPhone repairsmen, and I would go and buy their screens, their cracked screens from them for $250 a screen.
That's awesome.
Go back to my dorm room in my apartment. Like literally, if you'd look at it back then, it was filled with bubble wrap and like U-Haul boxes, because I was literally wrapping up like hundreds of cracked screens and then shipping them off to Alabama. And then I was trying to figure out, what are these people in Alabama doing with these cracked screens? And turns out there's this machine that you can buy that actually separates the cracked glass from the LCD. And now you can use the LCD and literally buy it for about 10 to 50 cents, depending on what country you order the glass from. And you put a special glue on, you mend it to the LCD, and now you got a brand new iPhone screen.
Yep. And
so I bought that machine, started doing that. And then like a week later, the new iPhone came out. Put me out of business, just like that. It was an awesome lesson.
It took 1 year. This is a good stretch.
But it was a hot year. It was probably maybe a year and a half. But man, I was pissed when the new iPhone came out. It kind of screwed me over a little bit. Yeah. And then kind of as I progressed, through college and transitioned to real estate. Like in college, my degree is business with a concentration in real estate. So I was actually like in the classroom learning how to be an employee at like a big commercial real estate firm. We would do site visits to huge projects and things like that, have different firms come in trying to hire the next batch of employees. It was really cool. And then at the same time, congruently, the girl I was dating back at the time in college, her dad was a house flipper. And he took me under his wing, and we flipped about 10 houses together in North Jersey, like while I was in college. So I structured my schedule around that. I mean, I used to be in North Jersey from about 6 to 10 a.m. like every morning flipping. Practice would be around noon, and then I'd put all my classes at night and just do that every day for, I think it was like maybe like 3 years. And it was crazy. Like we used to do such unorthodox things. And like looking back, like being that young, like there was one time when I actually paid some of my teammates to come up to North Jersey with me because we had like a stairwell that wouldn't fit through the front door that we needed to put in. It was, we were turning an attic into a master bedroom, like on the third floor, but there was a huge window on the second floor. So I paid all my teammates to come help me lift it and literally pull it through the second story window to put the new set of stairs.
That's awesome.
It worked. And no one got hurt, thank God.
That's awesome. Yeah, coach would have been mad at you, right?
Yeah, right.
So, well, that's good to hear. I mean, I love all that. That's all. I mean, I'm sure most people that are listening right now that have their own businesses, like have their own stories like that. But that's all. It's all hustle. Like I love that. And Tom even says a couple times, we've had guests on the show that say you got to have grit in order to make your way in this world and to build your businesses and that kind of thing. And so that's what I hear this entire time that you're talking is grit, that one word.
Absolutely.
So I also want
to,
but Josh, not only that, it's like, he learned a lesson with the iPhone thing, right? And he just persevered and continued on to find what's next instead of just giving up and blaming the whole world and being pissed at everybody and blaming, Apple for ruining his business. Like he decided, hey, no, like this is just life. This is just the way things work. This is just, somebody else being an entrepreneur. And, I got to figure out what's my next step and what's my next journey. And I think that's a very important lesson to learn there.
Yeah.
Some people don't adapt. That's so true. Just dwell on bad things and then just out. I could have been the next guy, but Apple iPhone 5 came out.
Yeah.
And man, you probably see this in professional sports even more so than almost anywhere else. Like seriously, a professional athlete, I mean, they're the top 1% of the top 1% in their profession in the world, right? But a broken
Absolutely.
leg, a broken arm, a major injury takes them out forever. You know, and I think it's a great segue into like how you got into real estate. And really, I think real estate's one of those things that anybody can do. It doesn't matter what profession you kind of come from, you can go into real estate and it can be part of your plan B.
I hope you've been enjoying this Good Success podcast, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Our next sponsor is Gary Harper at Sharper Business Solutions. Your business is a personal endeavor that you have poured your blood, sweat, and tears into, and they know that. Sharper Business Solutions is a full-service solution to help you scale your dream. Sharper Business Solution implements the Sharper process and other key systems, giving you the confidence that you need to have freedom and grow and scale your business. The Sharper team wants to come right alongside you and provide the resources needed for long-term growth and success. If you are looking to grow or scale your business, contact my friend and Good Success Mastermind member, Gary Harper, and his team to help you implement the Sharper process. You can schedule your free consultation today at sharperprocess.com. So go do it right now. Go to sharperprocess.com and schedule your free consultation with Gary and his team. Our next sponsor is Jerry Padilla from Prime Lending. Whether it's your first time buying a home or you're well adversed in the process, buying and refinancing a home can be an exciting and rewarding but sometimes challenging experience. At Prime Lending, we take the time to listen and work with you to find a home loan that fits your needs. If you're looking to refinance your loan, lower your interest rate, lower your monthly payments, shorten your term, or get cash for whatever reason you need, we have a solution for you. Prime Lending also has several options for renovation loans, so you can find what works best for you and your home project. Make sure you contact our good friend, Jerry Padilla, who is a senior loan officer and originator with Prime Lending and has over 11 years in the mortgage industry. You can learn more about Jerry and what Prime Lending has to offer you by visiting goodsuccess.com/prime lending. Again, that's goodsuccess.com/prime lending. And now, back to our show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about, before we go into you getting into the real estate story, kind of interesting. You actually left this as a comment when we were talking about what to interview and what to ask you for this interview here. You talked about overcoming the tragedy in Haiti and going into the NFL for that. So kind of talk about that story. I don't know much about it, so kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. So when do you understand like the red shirt process, like in college sports? So I redshirted my freshman year, so I was granted a fifth year.
Gotcha.
And after I finished my undergrad, before going into my fifth year, a couple days after graduation, like me, my mom, my dad, and my grandma, we went on a missionary trip to Haiti. We went out with a couple people from our church and some nurses from Villanova, and I think one pastor. And it was awesome. I'm Haitian, so getting to be able to get ingrained with my own country and things like that was the most beautiful experience, like, honestly, of my life. Until it was May 29th, 2015, and we were playing the card game called Spades. There's four of us, and while we're playing, you ever seen those electric fly swatters?
Yeah.
So we were using those because there's a lot of bugs out there, and there was a storm that night. So we had opened up our steel door to let the breeze come in. While we're playing spades, all of a sudden you hear this loud pow, and like my natural reaction is, who's hitting the electric fly swatter at 2 a.m? And the guy who's sitting across the table from me jumps across the table and tackles me out of my chair because that pow was a gunshot. So after hearing that gunshot, all of a sudden you see a foot kick through the screen door.
Wow.
And 8 people run in behind him. That same guy who shot through the front door then turns at us and shoots at us. So behind us on the wall, there's a bullet hole, and we're laying on the ground below it. And there's a girl next to us who was wearing a shawl, and they ripped that into pieces and hog-tied us. So hands tied behind your back, ankles tied at your feet, and then hands tied to your feet, and then blindfolded. And, thinking like, this is it. Like, saw my life flash in front of my eyes. I remember being grateful for the fact that my little brother, my little brother is a professional athlete as well. And he had gotten drafted to the Oakland Raiders like 2 weeks or like a month prior. So he wasn't out there with us. He was already out there for, rookie sessions and all that. I just remember being so grateful and like, he gets to actually live out his dreams, but we're all actually going to die here today. And those guys, I mean, they went room to room and stole everything. Like in the process, like one lady got punched in the face. They attempted to rape another lady, but failed. And there was a pastor who was staying with us who, if you didn't know where his bedroom was, you'd have never looked there. So he was under the bed and he calls the police saying, "Send help, we're under attack." And the police go, "Where are you guys located?" "Nope, we don't come to that area. Good luck."
Wow.
Yeah. So he then calls the next door neighbor saying, "Go outside with your gun and just empty the clip in the air." So all of a sudden outside you hear like all these gunshots, and like, I don't speak Creole, so I have no idea what's happening. I'm thinking the country's under attack. I have no idea what's happening. After the gunshots, the bandits, we had thought they scurried off, but on our compound, we had like a small medical clinic that had our medical supplies and things like that in there. And in reality, they were in there ransacking and stealing the stuff in there. At that time, my dad had actually untied himself and crawled out to see if anybody got hit. From his perspective, he wakes up to gunshots, hearing his son screaming and not in the room with him. Like, wild vantage point to think of it. And he crawls out, closes the steel door and starts to untie me. And 30 seconds later, doom, 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 you hear a loud banging on the door. And then we're all just trying to be quiet. Like they can't get in, the steel door's shut, the deadbolt's shut. Then they start shooting out all the windows. So my dad's, I mean, we're just sitting ducks inside. So he's like, okay. Opens the door up. They rough him up, tie him back up, throw him on top of me, and go through the house again, steal more stuff. And then that same pastor had done the prayer that morning at the prime minister's office. So he called the prime minister himself and said, like, "Send help, we're under attack." And then finally, about 45 minutes to an hour later, you hear sirens in the distance. And the bandits, they finally scurry off. The cops came, they told us, take pictures on the phones or cameras that we don't have and bring them by the station if you want. Good luck. And then 5 to 10 minutes later, they were gone. And like that hug that, I had with my mom and my dad and my grandma afterwards. I urinated myself and didn't even realize, like, covered in blood all over my feet from the windows breaking and all that. It was unreal, just truly understanding the value of life and, what that really means. You're out in your own country providing help, and this is what happens. Yeah. And it was real, like it made me start living completely different. And I realized at that point, my little brother, he had just made it to the NFL. And I don't know if you have siblings, but sibling rivalry, if your brother can do it, so can you. So I realized, I needed to take advantage of this opportunity of a lifetime, like in the lifetime of the opportunity, because I wasn't, like, in college, I was a bench player. I didn't really play. Like, I literally rode the bench for my first 3 years, didn't even travel, like nothing. And once I made that move to tight end, and then that experience happened, it was like, you can't put me through anything that can break me now. You can put me through any workout, I don't really care what it is, but it's not as bad as being tied up or about to die.
Yeah.
I've never run a 5K before, a marathon, but I'd run one tomorrow just because I know my mental strength, I can do it, just because it's not as bad as being tied up, covered in your own piss, about to die. And honestly, that was just like, it was a card that I held in my back pocket damn near the entire time I played, because it was like honestly my quiet confidence. Like, I know the next man hasn't experienced something like that, and I don't even want him to know that I've experienced something like that. But that's the reason why I thought I could essentially take over, block, go against anyone, because it really doesn't matter. And now that I'm retired, I've been finally actually really, telling my story.
No, that's incredible. Wow, that's just
awesome.
absolutely incredible. And I know that firsthand for me. I've been to a third world country for a missions trip, and just having that experience is life changing. But going through what you went through, I mean, I can't even imagine. So definitely appreciate you sharing that as well. And I think I want to commend you too as well for sharing your story, because like, I know going through experience like that, sometimes people are scared to share their experiences because of, what happened, maybe, for whatever reason. But for you, you're willing to share that to kind of motivate and show other people that, hey, we got it good where we're at. And then you use it as motivation. So
it was, when it first happened, it's like a vulnerable position. You're supposed to be, like you said, this 6'5", 250-pound dude. And now you're hog-tied, tied up, covered in your own piss. You know what I mean? Like, that's not supposed to happen. And
right.
to react, to standards of today, but like, it's the reality of the world. And like, to bring it to a whole nother level in terms of the reality of the world, 2 weeks later, those same guys tried to do the same thing to a different group of missionaries. And 2 of them got caught, and they burned them alive and then shot them dead in front of the entire town. Like,
that's insane.
That's the world we live in.
Right.
So like, be grateful, people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100% on board with that. So yeah, again, thank you for sharing that and being willing to be open with that and bring that to the audience. So you guys, hopefully you got something out of that, right? Like there's a lot to have in there. So let's kind of switch tracks a little bit, Hakeem, and talk about you buying a 4-unit apartment your rookie year. So now, I guess not every rookie does that, maybe, or maybe we just don't hear about it, right? But for you, kind of like,
they should
what made you even? Yeah, they should be, right, Tom? So come by Turnkeys and Gary, rookies. But
I don't care what they do, but I don't understand why they don't.
Sure. So Hakeem, tell us about that experience. What made you do that in the first place, and kind of what your experience was in that?
It really came down to like when I started training. So like I said, I graduated in 4 years, and the Haiti experience happened, and then I played in my 5th season, and that season ended in November. Come January, the draft is in April. January, because I was getting my MBA, I still have like 10 credits to go. I put my MBA on pause so I could train at this place called Test. It's like a training facility in New Jersey. And it was, 4 months of, you're grinding from anywhere between 9 to 14 hours a day of just straight grinding. And that was the first time I realized it was like a no crap moment. Like, if this football thing doesn't work out, you're about to go live home with mom and dad. Like, you haven't had any time in college to go get in, an internship or a job or anything like that. I was flipping houses before that. But I had really and you really only know what you know, like being in college, you're stuck to that bubble of what's out there in terms of just getting a job 40 hours a week, 40 years, retire on 40% of your income. Like, that's life for most people. And that commute to that training facility is about an hour and a half each way. And then we had about an hour every day for lunch. But during that time, I would just consume myself with audiobooks and podcasts. That was when I first found Bigger Pockets. I was 15-ish, 16-ish. And, just literally listening to so many stories. And it's crazy because I remember being like discouraged. Like, once I found Bigger Pockets, I was like, oh my gosh, all these people are already doing this. Like, I feel like I'm too late to the party. But just kind of just sucked it up. And like, it kind of really comes in like literally it's coming full circle. Like right now, like as we have this conversation, because I was just talking to one of my partners, because we're analyzing these deals, and like on the podcast, they usually ask, how many deals did you analyze until you found this deal? It might be like, 50 or like 75 or 100 or whatever. And like, I like back when 2016, when I was listening, I'd hear people say that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got so long to go. But like last week with my partner, I was just teaching him how to analyze deals. I'm showing him how many I've analyzed to get to the point I'm at, and like I think it was like 75 or like 100, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, bro!" And like talking about it now, it's like, wow, it's like so full circle. But
yeah,
I remember being not discouraged, but just like, damn, like I got a long way to go, but it's part of the process. You got to love the process. And 4 hours a day I was listening to podcasts or audiobooks, and I decided, if the NFL doesn't work out, I'm getting into real estate. If I have to wholesale, I got to wholesale. If not, like I knew I always wanted to do multifamily. So if I don't make it to the NFL, I'm wholesaling to start making some money. If not, I'm doing multifamily as soon as I make it to the league. Cause like I'd already flipped houses, and that was just my personal preference, you know, pick your poison in that sense. And I made it to the Arizona Cardinals, and it was like, you know what? It's Phoenix. Phoenix is an awesome city. And I started out by, you know, my first, I don't know how many months I was there, but I was living with one of my teammates, and I wasn't paying rent. So it was like, I'm gonna just stick with this right now and just really learn. He was the first round pick. So, you know, he had a lot more money than I did. And it was awesome. So I didn't necessarily have to pay for anything. And then I was living in an apartment for like, honestly, it was a month-to-month apartment. I think I was there for 2 months before I got my fourplex, because I was like, no way I can do this. I was paying $2,000 a month, and I realized I'm about to spend $24,000 this year on rent. Like, I can't believe that. And I mean, I put out a post on Bigger Pockets introducing myself as a tight end for the Arizona Cardinals, like looking to connect with local investors in Phoenix. And like 30 to 50 people responded to the thread, and I took them all out to coffee or lunch, and it was awesome. Like I'd say a quarter to a half of them were just trying to pitch me their deals, and I'm like, right. I don't want to do that. I'm literally just want to learn. And but the other half, I mean, were just such genuine people, and showed me their properties, showed me their SOPs, you know, how they handle this, how they handled it. It was honestly amazing. And then I found my realtor, and he's still one of my really good friends, but he's also an investor. And we found this fourplex in North Phoenix, you know, where most people, not necessarily, especially an NFL player, you're not going to find many in that area of Phoenix. I'm not sure how familiar you are with it. But, you know, all my teammates were buying spots in Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, just living in their minds below their means, but living way above their means. And, you know, I bought that fourplex. I lived in one unit. I mean, I had a Section 8 tenant living below me, and, you know, 2 other tenants, and it was awesome. I bought it with an FHA, and the loophole of it, you know, you technically have to live in it for a year. I think I was living in it for about 6 months after I got cut, 6 to 8 months after I got cut. And I was like, I'm not about to just have it vacant for the next 4 months. So I kept my address there, but I Airbnb'd that unit I was living in, and it made double. I would have rented it for $750, and it still Airbnbs from about $1,400 to $2,000 a month.
Awesome.
And then and that was the process. And like now, I'm just really passionate about honestly showing a lot of my teammates and other guys in the league how to do the same thing.
Sure, man, that's incredible, and yeah, that's great to share it. Tom, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, I guess my question is, why don't more do what you do? Why don't more NFL players do what you did? Because it's always, and really, since I've been like 19, 20 years old, I feel like I have a heart to help those people, because in my opinion, like you said, half the people probably more than half the people are just out trying to like take their money or do whatever they possibly can with those people. But they've got to find people that they can trust. They've got to find people that are trusted advisors to be able to help them. Is the problem that there's really just no trusted advisors for them, or is the problem just like they were never taught? I don't know.
I think the problem is the trusted advisor, in my opinion. And people might not want to hear that, but it comes down to these players are being babied. You know, I don't have an advisor. I don't even understand the stock market. So why would I invest in something I don't know? 1, and then 2, the advisors, it just adds to the being babied effect. Like most guys in the NFL attended some of the best and biggest colleges across the country, and the big, you know, A-list celebrity types, they don't even have to go to class. They get a personal tutor because they're too much of a distraction to the class because of, you know, their status. And, you know, since they've been in college, and, you know, I didn't go to a big time D1 school. I went to a D1 AA school, and I was undrafted. Everything is just handed to you. Not necessarily handed to you, obviously, like making it to the league. Like that's extreme hard work. That's, like you said, the 1% of the 1%, I'm not taking anything away from that. But the stuff that you should be doing or should know how to do, I mean, I'm trying to think who it was. There was a guy who didn't, I'm trying to think. He didn't know, I don't think he might not know how to write a check. He was an NBA guy. I just heard this story the other day, and it's just like everything gets done for you. Your bills, your like, you need to remake your driver's license. You know, you go wait at the DMV. There's a guy at the team who'll do it for you. Like a guy who works the team will do it for you. If you need to automate your mortgage payments, you need a new house, you need like literally anything, there's a system and there's a person for it. I mean, you'll get it with speed, but you're not actually learning whatever is actually happening, whether it's with your money or whether, if it was me, if I had trusted advisors, you know, telling me to do this, telling me to do that, yeah, I might be investing in something, but I wouldn't really know what I'm investing in. Like if you're not actually putting the work in, you're not actually reading the books, listening to the podcasts, walking the walk, actually walking the property and doing things like that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas other guys, you know, the biggest problem is too much stuff is handed to them. So why do I necessarily have to do anything when I don't like, but just the way society is, we're just an instant, you know, type of society. If it's already in our hands, you know, why do I need to plan for 10 years from now if my advisor says it's good? So whatever. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so
I love this perspective. I love the perspective of personal responsibility. And I mean, that's pretty much what you're stating here is that they're not taking personal responsibility with their own personal finances. They're just letting somebody else take care of that. And without learning that themselves and without growing in that field themselves, I guess, unfortunately, the result of that is the people that get cut or the people that you know, have a short career. Like, what do they do now? You know, you see too many of them in like super low level jobs when they made $5 or $6 million in a couple of years. And it's just like, man, like if you just been a little bit smarter with that money when you had it, you could have had a way bigger difference in your whole life.
So let's talk about that, Hakeem. Go ahead and go into your retirement from the NFL, and that kind of, I think that's a good segue for this topic that Tom's going into. So go ahead and chat about that.
Yeah, and it kind of finish on what Tom was saying too. It's most guys, and me retiring, most guys can't retire because it's hard to see it from a fan's perspective, but it's a system. The way we're paid, it's all systematic. Like most people, you work 52 weeks out of the year, you get 52 paychecks. Whereas the NFL, you know, rookie minimum, I think this year might have been 450 or 475. I'm not sure what the number was. When I was a rookie, it was 450, which is $26,000 a week when you divide it by 17, not 52. Your most average guys would divide that 450 by 52, whereas the NFL, now you give a 23-year-old guy who's never been, even because of college and the NCAA, the way that system's set up, who's never been allowed to see a paycheck, or he would be deemed ineligible.
Right.
You take that guy and now hand him $26,000 on his 23rd birthday. How is he gonna feel wrong for spending $10,000 out of that $26,000 week one?
Yeah.
I'm saving 16 grand, right? Week 2, make 26, spend 10. Week 3, make 26, spend 10. Week 4, make 26, spend 10. Week 17, January 1st hits, you now have the spending habits of someone who makes $26,000 a week for 52 weeks. January 1st hits, you make $0 and now you spend 10. January 7th hits, you make 0, spend 10. And literally, you see it every year. You come back for OTAs and minicamp, and there's the guys who literally ran out of money. Like, they're the guys who are cutting in front of lines. Like, OTAs is like a chill time for everyone, except the guys who are struggling, because if they don't make the team, they can't pay their mortgage payment. They don't make the team, they can't pay their car payment. And like, it becomes you physically can't retire because your spending habits don't keep up with how much you're making, and then it just becomes a rat race. And then why a lot of guys lose their money once they get out is because you're seeing money at chunks like that. Now a $1,000 check doesn't really look like much. A $2,000 check doesn't, a $5,000 check literally doesn't look like much, because you're used to seeing, like, the biggest check I've ever seen in person was like $655,000, like after taxes, for a week's pay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Like, it's not bad, but it gets to the point of like, now you're done playing. If I don't, invest in this new whatever startup that's supposed to make me a 10x return, in the next year, that's how I'm going to keep my money going. And that's what people do. Then they get into dumb investments because they're trying to get back to that same level of, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Right. So then at at that point, it's kind of like what I'm saying. At that point, they're so desperate that they make really stupid decisions and invest in stupid things instead of just being, hey, if I can make 10% of my money and I can start putting this away right away as soon as I start making money. And you know, it's funny, like you say it's the system when it comes to NFL and when it comes to ball players, but I see the exact same thing with dentists and doctors and lawyers. Like they're used to making $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, and they can't retire, even though they've been making this much money for 20. I mean, they have a longer lifespan on their career, you know, so they can work 30, 40 years. And they're at the exact same mercy that you're talking about, and they've been doing it for even longer.
That's crazy.
So
I never thought about it.
It's the exact same process. It's just a different trade. So these guys are making $400,000 or $500,000, and maybe not the millions that some of the guys in the NFL are making, but they're still making really good money. And then they get to the end of their lifespan and they haven't saved up enough, or they haven't invested enough. They just raise their standard of living instead of raising their standard of investing or raising their standard of giving, which is what I'm always given to things that I want to invest in that I think is going to come back to me at some way, shape, or form. Because whether it's money, time, talents, or treasure, whatever you invest in, you're going to get back. So it's those things that you focus on. And I think that's, to me, I just really have a heart to help those people, even if they never buy anything from me ever, to at least find a way to help educate. And honestly, it's, you know, like, it's kind of funny because now since I'm like in my 40s, I feel like these are young guys. You know, Josh is only 25, so he probably doesn't look at you as like a youngster. But I'm like, man, these poor 18, 19, 20-year-olds are getting taken advantage of, and they don't even know better. So somehow there has to be an education that actually helps them and teaches them, hey, this is the laws of finances, and this is the laws of money. And I don't believe in the stock market at all. So I'm not a stock guy at all. I don't have a penny of my own money in the stock market. But I've been financially free for 4 or 5 years. And most of it was either in real estate, lending, or in business. And I think there's money to be made in all those things without even talking about the stock market. So I think in the stock market, somebody else has already made the money. And that's, if you talk about a rigged system, it's the stock market.
That's so true. And like back to like retirement, it was easy for me to walk away from the game, honestly, because me personally, I started, my passion wasn't with football. It honestly was never really with football. Me personally, when it comes to sports, I always wanted to go to the NBA. Like my junior year of high school, I was quitting football so I could focus on basketball because I never got the fall to focus on and get in shape for winter basketball season. And it just, you know, after, honestly, that's being self-aware. My junior year was my breakout year for football, and I realized it's going to be a lot easier for me to get a scholarship playing football than basketball. So it was a thinking 10 steps ahead decision to stick with football. And then it just got to the point where I just was no longer passionate about it. You know, first I have a 7-month-old daughter. You can probably hear her screaming in the background. And me now, you know, investing in real estate, it kind of came down to every off season, those 3 months, January, February, March, I'd have my foot on the gas, going city to city to city, making connections, making things happen. And then as soon as April comes around for OTAs and minicamp, foot right on the brakes. And then for 9 months, I'm in the football cycle. And then next January, same thing kind of happens again. And it just reached the point of, now I have a daughter. I can't be the dad that I want to be, the real estate investor that I want to be, and now the keynote speaker that I'm passionate about being, and playing the NFL at the same time. It's just, it doesn't align with my passion, my why, my goals. It doesn't align with it anymore. And I see it, unlike most other people, I just see it as a job. It's just a stepping stone to me to get into my next level, my next place.
Sure.
Well, I thank you so much for being on today's podcast. Thank you so much for spending, you know, your time with us. And I just want to, I'd love to have you back on again to maybe talk more actual real estate and like kind of even
yeah, I'm sorry,
how you analyze a deal, but I just want to let you know that I appreciate your time with us today.
Yeah, it's definitely great stuff. So we're gonna have to wind this down because I know Tom's got to jump on a plane, so we don't want to make Tom late for talking to the senators in Washington. But so Hakeem, we got a couple more questions that we're gonna wind this down with. We ask every single person we got on the interview. Excited to hear what you have to say. So for us, good success means a lot. We built this brand that really talks about the quality of success as opposed to the quantity, comes straight out of the Bible. Joshua 1:8 talks about the quality of success. So for you, maybe it was the first time you were introduced to us. Maybe it was when you were talking to Tom or whatever, the first time that you heard about good success. What does that term mean to you? What comes to mind when you hear that term, good success?
When I hear the term good success, honestly, the first thing I think of is honestly me personally, just where my whys and values align is family, and having your entire family being happy, my daughter being happy, my fiance being happy, and me ultimately doing what I want and being happy. I think I align good success with happiness. I think the biggest ROI on life doesn't necessarily have to be money, it's happiness.
That's awesome. Love that. That's fantastic. All right. So the last thing here is that you got to leave the audience with one thing. So one thing only, whether it's a book that you've read that you want to share, a quote, piece of advice, a thought, whatever it is, you got to leave the audience with one thing. What would that be?
For that one person out there who's probably getting called this or whatever, is it's okay to be corny. Because honestly, me being corny got me to exactly where I'm at today. Just being that different, take it super corny. When I was in middle school, I used to get to school at 6 a.m. so I could do magic tricks with my teacher because I love magic. And being corny and being you is going to ultimately define your happiness and back to good success. It's all about just being happy. So be corny.
That is awesome, Josh. We were just having this conversation yesterday in my office because some of the girls were making fun of me for being corny. And I'm just like, hey, corny's awesome.
You're you know what I'm saying? Corny is weird. I love it. It's you. You know what I'm saying? Take pride in your corniness.
Tom's gonna show everybody this video clip. So you're not gonna
take it right back to the office.
We're gonna take this clip. We're gonna bring it back to the office. Be like, hey, Hakeem said it's okay to be corny.
That's awesome. Well, Hakeem, we definitely appreciate you being on. If there's any way for somebody to connect with you, do you have a website? I know that you're on LinkedIn. How could somebody connect with you if they wanted to?
So my website is currently under construction. In 10 minutes, I have a call with my marketing lady, so we can actually tighten that up. Shout out to Whitney and Social Victory.
Well, this podcast is going to go out in a few weeks, so maybe it'll be up and ready.
Okay, cool. But my social media handles, it's Hak Valles, my last name, the number 80. Any social media, and then LinkedIn. Me personally, I've been on a kick since I finished playing. I don't know, when I was in the league, I was, I thought I was the S word. I thought I was the man. And I wasn't necessarily, I wouldn't say I wasn't responding to everyone. I was just in my own just tunnel vision and not really necessarily have my eyes open. And as I finished, I realized that you need to get over yourself. So I respond to everything, everybody, every comment, instant message. It might take a couple days, but reach out to me and I'd love to connect.
Sure. No, absolutely. We definitely appreciate you leaving that. So Hakeem, again, thanks for being on the show, man. Thanks for everything that you shared. It was a great interview, and we do look forward to having you back again soon.
Thanks for having me, guys. And
let's
Tom,
talk real estate next time.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Next time we'll talk about some real estate and how to vet a deal.
Yeah,
sounds good, brother.
All right, so that is going to do it for today's episode. We appreciate you all jumping on and joining us for this Good Success podcast episode. Make sure that you head over to your platform, whatever you listen to for podcasts. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. That would be much appreciated. And then if you want to, you could just download the app. So the official Good Success app. Head over to your Apple App Store or the Google Play Store for Android. Search Good Success. You'll find it there. It's just 10 times easier to listen to it. So shameless plug. But anyway, then the Good Success Mastermind happened in Miami, Florida, May 14 through 18. It's coming in hot and we're excited about it. goodsuccess.com/mastermind to learn more. Fill out the application there and then you'll jump on a phone call with Tom and then hopefully we'll see you down there in Miami. And then the Community Go Giver events, communitygogiver.com, happening June 26, 27, 28, right here in our office. I don't need to expound on it anymore because Tom talks about it pretty often. It's one of his big visions, so make sure that you guys jump on board. We're selling out at 80 seats, so make sure you take advantage of it. One more time, communitygogiver.com. Make it happen. That's going to do it for today's episode. We appreciate you jumping on and joining us today. Remember to be a conduit and not a bucket.
Work to have to give.
And we'll catch you guys on the next one.